Are Muslim students in Britain being indoctrinated into radical Islam? A BBC investigation reveals that thousands of Muslim students read textbooks that make outrageous claims, such as that Jews can be transformed into pigs and that homosexuals should be thrown off a cliff. With us from London to explain this is Robin Simcox, a terror expert with the Center for Social Cohesion, a think tank studying radicalization and extremism in the UK. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
All right, so in addition to those hideous things about Jews and homosexuals, some of the textbooks also say things like that thieves should be punished by having their hands and feet chopped off. Do we know how widespread this teaching is?
Well, we think there's around 5,000 Muslim students in the UK being taught exactly this sort of thing. And there is a larger problem, I think, with education generally in the UK, where Saudi Arabia and my organisation has tried to raise awareness of Saudi Arabia putting huge amounts of time and money and effort into propagating this kind of filth, and I think it is filth that's being taught.
Well, I'm glad that you bring up Saudi Arabia because it sounds like in Britain this type of teaching is happening at private schools. Let me read to you what the Saudi embassy says about it. Any tutoring activities that may have taken place among any other group of Muslims in the United Kingdom are absolutely individual to that group and not affiliated to or endorsed by the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia. Does the British government have any say over what happens in private schools?
Well, it doesn't at the moment because these schools are, because they're part-time, the government doesn't regulate them. But just quickly on the Saudi Arabian point, these were Saudi Arabian national curriculum. They were textbooks from Saudi Arabia. So very clearly they do have a role. And I think as a civil society in Britain, regardless of what the government should do, we should be much clearer about saying, of course, these things are completely unacceptable at any level of being taught. For example, if there were neo-Nazi schools preaching this kind of intolerance in Britain, we would shut it down immediately. We would abhor it. But I feel as if there's sometimes double standards that aren't being applied here.
So it sounds like what you're saying, that the suggestion that the Saudi embassy says in that statement that they're not connected to this at all, they are lying.
I think it's just not true. The Saudi Arabian government have, for years, have pumped billions into British mosques, madrasas, schools and universities to promote this extreme Wahhabi ideology. For them to say now they have nothing to do with it is just completely disingenuous. We know that Saudi Arabia has spent a huge amount of effort in this, and they can't deny it now.
You're saying that basically these schools should be shut down, but 5,000 students, that's a large number. Is the British government engaged in the dangerous curriculum?
Well, the British government has to, it is a large number, and the problem for the British government is because they are part-time schools, they can't regulate them at the moment. If they're not going to be shut down, they need to be obviously made to stop teaching this. There needs to be much more greater awareness to the fact that the Quran and the Hadith being taught literally as a religious text has no relevance at all to any aspect of 21st century life in Britain as when it comes to stoning and cutting off limbs.
Yeah.
The British government needs to be much clearer about its values and beliefs on this.
All right, well, Robin Simcox, thanks so much for coming on and raising our awareness about this.
Thank you.
All right.